We'll move on now to questions. These questions are drawn from commonly themed questions on the 3 webinars that we've run so far on this subject. And they're also after an analysis by the High Cost Family team of some of the areas where we have the rejection or we don't agree case plans first time. The questions will give you an idea as to how to avoid having anything returned to you. So first question I have for the panel, and this one I'll start with Anthony. Do you need to send all council acceptance forms with the signed contract? What about council who have already been paid under FAS?
Okay, that's quite a common scenario. The answer is yes, we do need the council acceptance form, but we appreciate that it's not always possible to have that immediately. So we are not absolutely insistent upon it at the point where you upload the contract to us, but we certainly need it before the end of the case. In terms of those council where they've done a one-off hearing, they've been paid under FAS, no. The answer is if they're paying no further part in the case and the work that they've been asked to do has been done and it's gone, at the point where the case is registered, we don't need a council acceptance form from them. I don't know whether Chris and Scott in particular want to pick up with this from a council perspective, but
to be honest with you, yeah, we could do. I mean, again, if you know you've got prior authority for 2 council from the 2 council side of things, James could be proactive. And once they know they've got that case in the diary, they could get council to sign that CAF and just send it in to the solicitors to be forwarded on. I think just coming very quickly to the CAF, I think there's this misconception that when you sign a council's acceptance form, you are tied into whatever the LLA tell you you're tied into. It's not the case. All it is you're accepting that you're agreeing to be in a high cost case. So there is no problem with you going, oh, got a 15-day case, hasn't started yet, done no work on it. I'll tell you what, I'll sign the CAF, send the solicitors, and it'll speed up the things. So be aware, you do not have to wait to have actually done the work and seen the case plan to actually sign a CAF. I don't know if Scott's got any more views on that one.
The only thing I was going to add was obviously through the pandemic and the various lockdowns, having wet signatures on documents has proved more difficult. And there is a contingency process which the LA have implemented for situations where you can't get council to actually sign a CAF, and that's on their website. But it's really simple. Council just sends the CAF with an email saying, I agree to the terms of this contract. So it's a way around it if you're having difficulties and it is holding up your case plan going in.
Exactly so. I hope that makes life easier for everybody as well. I'm sure it makes it easier from council's perspective for them just to be able to send that email confirmation as well.
Thank you. I have another question, which is going back to the registration process. When you register a case under an events model and the case changes later on, can you then convert it into an exceptional case and get hourly rates?
This is actually covered within section 4 of the information pack, the single council information pack. And essentially the answer is no. You need to be able to identify the case as exceptional at the point where it becomes high cost. Now, it might mean that you need to wait until later in the case till the costs are nearer £25,000 in order to be able to make that decision and make that call. But it ought to be possible in most cases to be able to call it by that point in time. I appreciate that there will be occasions where things develop in a case completely unexpected much later on, but we did talk about this when this model was introduced and we revised it, and essentially it's at the point of registration. The reason we say that is that to do it later undermines the whole purpose of detailed case planning anyway, because the work has already been done effectively. There is no case planning aspect if you're seeking to move it into a detailed case planning scenario much later on. That ship has effectively sailed at that point. So we need to know at the point of registration whether it's exceptional or not.
Thank you.
I didn't know whether Rebecca was nodding. I didn't know whether Rebecca might have something to.
I was just agreeing with you. It's really important with those care and supervision cases to, before you register, just pause, look at your costs, think about whether you want to request that your case is exceptional to go outside of CCFS. It can be another quite expensive mistake just to progress in the direction of CCFS and not take the time to pause and think about it.
Thank you very much. One further thing, which was a question that I don't know whether the panel really, we need to go into in much detail. It's regarding the documentation required when you're submitting an interim and a final case plan. I know we've looked at it really quite in detail. I just wanted, from our perspective, to emphasize those checklists, the interim checklist and the final checklist. They list everything that we expect from the LAA's perspective to see on an interim and on a final. And it is by far the greatest reason that we request further information and thereby delay any submission is for missing information and or an incorrectly completed document. So most definitely from an LAA perspective, use those checklists.
I think it's worth saying as well, it's about labelling the documentation as well that you send to us, because it's all very well sending us lots and lots of documents that are unlabeled, but trying to find the particular document you're looking for out of unlabeled documents is really, really difficult. And it's really hard to identify, and that's where mistakes will be made. And therefore, you know, it may be a case that we do have it, but if it's really impossible for us to identify where it is, it can become it's just a human error that's going to crop in.
Sure. So I would actually add to that as well, if you have control over what you upload and how it's uploaded, if it's a PDF, if you can upload it as a searchable PDF, that makes life a lot easier than a document that we can't search at this end.